Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the place where you learn new skill every time you visit. So keep updating yourself by subscribing to the channel. So today we are going to learn passing parameters to methods and returning values by methods. Alright. So guys, let's see what do they mean. So when we talk about parameters of a function or a method, so a parameter of a function is the input we send to the function, as we have discussed that a function is a set of code which is designed to do a certain task. Like in the previous video, we have discussed and I have explained you that there's an input function which is going to do the input. There's an output function which is going to show the output, and there's a process function. So they are designed to do certain tasks, right? So now to do a certain task, a set of code also may need instructions or input to work on. So parameters are those values which we pass to the function and which is taken as an input by the function. Now, if you look at this definition of a function over here, this is called the parameter. So this value will be passed to this function from outside from another function. So when the total marks will be passed to it, it's going to use that total marks and calculate the percentage over here, right? So this is the name of the function and this is the parameter. So inside the parentheses, whatever is there, that is a parameter to a function. All right, guys. Now let's see return value of a function. What is a return value? As we told, that function is a set of instructions designed to do a certain task. And as in the previous slide also, I have told you that it takes input. So when it takes input, it's bound to give you output also. So a function also produces an output. So the output which function produces and sends back to the calling function is called the return type of the function or return value of the function. So the return statement in Java is used to return value back to the calling function. Let's see at the example over here. If you see the same function, this is the input which is sent to the function. And if you observe here, last time it was void. All right, in the last example, it was void. Void means nothing. So that function was not going to send anything back. All right, but this function, the return type is double. So it has to send a double value back. Now over here, the percentage has been calculated, right? And then that percentage has been, using this keyword return, will be returned back to the calling function. So a return type is the output of a function which it sends back to the calling function, and the parameter is the input to the function which we give to the function to work on something. Okay, guys. Now let's see all this practically. That will be easier for us to understand. So let's move on to the Java. Just give me a moment to switch over to the Java. Yeah, here's the Java. And I have opened the same program which we have used last time. The program which has three functions: input, process, and output. And in the main method, we are calling each function separately with two different objects. All right. Now, over here, what we have done is we have taken the input in the input method, all right, and then we are just calling the methods input, process, and output. Now, if you observe over here, none of these methods has a parameter, right? If you observe carefully, input does not have anything within the bracket. Okay, there's nothing over here, right? Similarly, calculate does not have anything over here. Similarly, the output does not have anything over here, or the process does not have anything in the parameter. So that means all these methods does not have any parameter. So they're not taking any input from outside, all right, directly. And the return types are void, so they are not returning back any values also. Okay. Now let's convert one of the functions so that it can take input. It can take the parameter. Now, the calculation which is being done in this particular program is the process function. So let's make this as a parameter function. So what we'll do, I'll just put inside the process, I'll just do the total marks. And since total mark is of integer, so I need to give the data type. So now I have added a parameter to this function. All right, total mark. I'll just remove this double A because it's not required right now. And it is doing the job. Now what I'll do is, since total marks is passed to it, so what I'll do, I'll just remove the input of total mark from the input method. Rest I will keep same. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just do that input part over here in the main method. Let me first remove all this second object thing from here, because right now I would be dealing with only one object, because I need to explain you the return type and the passing parameters. So what I'll do, I have pasted that input part which was there in the input function over here, because right now I have to pass a parameter to this particular function called process, and since I call every function in the main, so my total marks has to be taken in the main. Okay, I think that makes sense now, right? So I have removed this input, the total marks input process or input command or input statement from here, and kept it in the main function. Now if you observe over here, I'm going to now call the methods. All right, so what I'll do, I'll call the method input obj1.input, simply because input does not need any parameter. I'll call obj1.process. Now this time I have made that process as a parameterized function. So now I have to pass the total marks to it. So from here I'm passing the total marks. Okay, the rest I keep the same. obj1.output. All right. Now guys, you will observe that there's some blocks things shown here. So that means there's certain kind of error over here. Now the error is because you're trying to take input here, all right, and you have connected your program, that you have created the object of a scanner class into the input method, because earlier you were doing the input in the input method. Now input is happening at 2 points. It's happening there and it's also happening here. Okay, so either I should make a copy of it or paste it here, or I'll just cut it from here and paste it in the class. So if I do it here, it can be used by main also and by the input also. So it's always advisable to create an object of the scanner class inside the class so that all the methods can use it. Okay. Now the total marks variable, which we are doing here, needs to be declared. Okay, so I'll just remove this total marks from here, and declare it as a local variable in the main function. Here what we have done is we have made the total marks as a local variable to the main. All right. So right now the case is that I'm taking the marks of a student in the main, and from main I'm going to pass it. When I call the function process, I'm going to pass it to the process, and then process is going to use it and calculate the total marks. Okay, so this is passing a value to a function. Now one more change we need to do over here, because if you see over here there's a block, so that means there's some error in this. Now if I want to see what is that error, I need to press Ctrl K and it will tell me. It says cannot find symbol variable total marks. Now this function output is not able to find total marks. Yes, of course. Why? Because I have created a total marks, I have declared the total marks inside the main. Now it has become local to the main. So as I told you before also, it cannot be accessed outside this method. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove this printing of total marks from here. Earlier, how was it was accessing it? Earlier, we have created declared the total marks here, which is a class variable, and a class variable can be accessed by any of the methods. But right now, I changed that class variable total marks to inside the main method. So this output function is not able to access it. So no problem. How will I sort it out? I'll just cut this message from here, and I'll print the total marks inside the process method also, right? That we can do. So I have calculated the percentage here, and I'm printing the total marks and percentage here itself. All right. So the output is only printing my name. Okay. So now if you see the sequence of calling, first you are calling the input function. So it's going to take the first you are calling the input function. So it's going to take the input. All right. But before that, as I told you earlier, the main function is the main very important function of a Java because the JVM starts executing the program from main. So the compiler is going to come here and first it's going to take the marks from you because that is here in the total marks. So first it will take marks per student. Then when you call the input function from here, it will trigger down the input. And what's happening in the input? In the input function, we are asking the name. So after marks, it will take the name, right? And after name, after calling the input, after taking the name, we have called the process. So we have sent that total marks which we have taken earlier to the total marks. Then it will do the calculation, all right? And then it will print the total marks in percentage. And after that, we are calling output, so it's going to print the name. So a sequence will alter a little because that's the way the compiler works. But first it will come to the main function, so it's going to take the marks. Then it will go to the input function where it will take the name. Then we're calling the process function where we are calculating the percentage and printing out the marks and percentage. So now it's going to print marks and percentage after taking the name. And then we are calling the output, so then it's going to show the name. So name will be shown at the end. Okay, let's see. Does it work the way we are thinking? We have discussed or not. So I'm compiling it. It's compiled. Now I'll run it. Okay. So I'll go to the main screen and run it. Now, since there's no static in the main function, so it's going to create an object out of it like this. So we just have to right click here and go to the main to execute it. I'll just put two curly brackets over here and say okay. So the program starts. Now enter marks of students. See, it's asking the marks first. Then it will ask the name. All right. Now after asking name, it will go to the process, and in process it will calculate the percentage, and there itself it will show the total marks in percentage. So it will show the total marks in percentage first, and then it will call the display or the output. It will show the output, that is the name, in the end. All right. I think that makes sense now. You would have understood this. All right. So let's go back to the program. So this is passing values to a function. Here in this particular program, I have passed the total marks to the function. Now you would be observing that I have declared the variable here also, and I have declared the variable here also. Now, as I told you, this total marks is local to this, so this cannot be accessed outside. So when I pass this total marks, when I throw this value of the total marks here, like 375 has been thrown from here. Okay, when you call, actually you are sending a value, you're throwing the value. It should go and get caught in some variable over here. Right now, both variable name is same, so it will get caught into the same variable total marks. But what if I change the name of this variable? Okay, let's see. So I change this variable to total. All right, instead of total marks, I make it total. And now my formula will also change. I will make it total. Okay, and the printing will be total. So now I change the variable name. Okay, so here I'm throwing it with another variable 375. The value has been taken by 375 from here. Okay, it keeps taking it, and when it reaches the function entrance, this is the entrance of the function, it stores that value 375 into another variable total. Right, so total will also have 375. So the output will not differ, although the variable names are different. So over here, instead of the total marks, now I have used total in the formula and I have printed total. Okay, so let's see the output of this first, and then I'll tell you what does this concept means. So let's go to the program, and I need to compile it again because I have made changes. So I can compile it here also. Right click and compile. I'll run it. Main. I'll give two curly braces, starting and closing. This you have to do when you don't put a keyword static in front of the main. Okay, now it's asking the marks. Same sequence it's following. So I'll give 345.
is asking me name. Now it has done the calculation, so that means working perfectly all right, although we have changed the variable name in the program, but it's working all right. So changing variable name does not make any difference because the value is same. Whatever value you are throwing from here, you have this time you have thrown 345 from here. That 345 which was there in the total marks, and it carried it all the way through from here till here, and then it stored it into total. So it doesn't make any difference in the calculation. Now this variable total over here, which receives the value, which has received the value 345, is called formal parameter. And this variable which has thrown the value, which has sent the value to the function, is called actual parameters. All right. So I'll just write it over here for your reference. So this variable total here, which is actually receiving the value, is called actual parameter, or formal parameter. I'm sorry, formal parameter. So how will I define the formal parameter? These are the parameter which will these are the parameter which receives the value in the function. So the receiving one, or which are in the bracket of the function name, are called formal parameter. Now what are actual parameter here? The values which we pass to the function, okay, the values which we pass to the function are called actual parameter. So it's very clear from here that my total marks is actual parameter. My total marks is actual parameter because we're passing this from here, okay, and my total is a formal parameter because that is receiving it. The value which has been thrown from here has been received by the total. Okay, so these are the two names of a parameter, two kind of parameter to call it, right? Now let's move ahead and see what we have in our presentation. Okay, so this we have understood the parameter, passing values to function, return, and what are the two kinds of parameters we have. Now next is return value from a function. Now, just like we have learned that a function can take a value, you can pass an input to the function. Similarly, a function can return back the value. All right, you can return the value back to the calling method. So the return statement in a Java is used to return value back to the calling function. All right, now let's see the syntax of that. Suppose the same calculate function which I have used right now in the previous example, instead of void, I put the return type as double. So that will mean that now this function calculate is going to return back this calculation. It's not going to print here anymore. See, no printing is happening here. It's going to return it back to the calling function. And how it does, you just have to put a keyword return and the variable into which you calculated the percentage. All right. So let's see this practically, and which will clear your doubts. So let me move to the screen again and same program. So now my return function, the process function, I'm changing the return type to double. Okay. And then I need to declare this variable percentage also here as a local variable because I have to return it. So I have declared that percentage double here only. So I need to remove it from here. Okay. So I have removed it from here. So I have declared this percentage variable double here. I have done the calculation in double, and now instead of printing it here, I'm not printing it here, I will return it. So I'll cut the statements and I'll put return percentage. Now as I said, as I explained, that the return statement returns back the value to the calling function, the calling method. Now which method is calling this particular function process, right? Look over here. Which function is calling? The main function. The main method is calling the function process. This is the calling function. This is the calling function for all the three processes. I'm calling input here, I'm calling process here, I'm calling output here. So when the value is returned from the process function, is going to come and get returned over here. All right. Now, how will I cache that value which has been returned back to me? Okay, let's see. I'll show you. So now, since this function is also returning something from there, so what I'm going to do, I need a variable to hold that value which will be returned back to me. All right. And since that is a percentage, so I take which is of double kind, so I will take another variable, double percentage, the full name percentage. Okay. Now what I'll do, I will call this function like this, percentage equals to. I'll explain you this. Now when we have taken the percentage marks from user, okay, and we have sent that marks, total marks to the process, okay, here it is a actual parameter, here it become a formal parameter. Then the calculation has been done using that formal parameter, and a percentage has been calculated in PER. Now that PER has been returned back. Okay, so now we're returning back that value PER from here, and where it will go? It will go to the same point from where you have called it, and it will get stored into the variable percentage. So your percentage variable is going to hold the percentage which has been calculated over there. Okay. Now how will we check that? We'll just print this percentage here, and we'll come to know whether it is happening or not. So let's do that. So what I need to do, I just need to write a print statement here, which will print my percentage, right? So the percentage statement, which I copied from there, cut from there, I print it here. So I'll say marks is total marks now, and percentage is, now the variable name is the full name percentage, because inside the main, the variable name is percentage. All right. Okay. Now, since to make the sequence properly, what I'm doing is I'm just removing the input. What I'm doing is I'm just taking the input also in the main. Okay, just to make the sequence properly, so that it takes the name first and then the marks. That's it. So now since input method itself. So my whole input is being, don't have anything. So I've removed the intern in the main function itself. Okay. And now I'm not calling the input also. So I have taken the details here. I have taken the marks here. I have passed it. The process has calculated it and sent it back, and I'm printing it here. So since I'm printing the total marks in percentage here, why shall I not print the name also here? So now I'll print name is plus name. All right. So now since I have printed everything here, I don't need anything like output. So let's remove this. So now I've converted the whole program into one method. Okay. Let's see. Compile this and see how it works. So I'll just give you an overview of what we are doing over here. Now I need to remove this calling of output because there's no more output. So what is going to happen now when I compile the program, the JVM will come to the main program. It will take the name from user. It will take the marks from user, total marks. It will pass the total marks from here to the function called process. Okay. And there it converts, here it is passed as an actual parameter. It goes to the formal parameter. The calculations are done on formal by using formal parameter. A percentage is calculated, and that percentage is returned back to the calling method. So it will return back to the same place from where it has been called. It will come and go and get stored into a variable percentage. And then I'm printing the percentage here. I'm printing the name here. I'm printing the marks here. All right. Let's run this. So this is compiled. No syntax error. Let's go back to the BlueJ screen and run this program. This is the object created. I'll just run the main method. I'll give curly bracket start and close, and okay. So now it's asking the name. Now see, the sequence is coming. Earlier it used to ask the marks first because it was going to the main function first. So now it's asking the name. So I give the name. It asks the marks. I give the marks. and it's showing me the name, marks, and percentage all together, right? So this is the way a function can return a value. This is the way we pass a value to the function. So today what we have learned is, we have learned how do we send a value to a function, how do you pass a value to the function, which are called the parameters. There are two kinds of parameters, the actual and the formal. The value which we send to the function is called the actual parameter. The value which is received by the function inside the brackets over here are called the formal parameter. The value with the function returns goes back to the same position from where it has been called here, and then it can be caught into another variable, and then we can print it out. All right, guys. So I hope you would have understood this well so far. Thank you very much for giving your time. Thank you so much.
If you are new to the channel, please subscribe it. Also press the bell notification so that you get notification as soon as I release a new video. Share and like the video.